Hi, my name is Peter. I'm one of the dispatch supervisors here at Snohomish County 911 in Washington State. We're a consolidated PSAP. We dispatch for police, fire, and medical, and we service about 850,000 people on a daily basis. We take several 100,000 calls a year, and today I wanted to speak about the impacts Aurelian has had on our agency. Coming into last year, we were answering several hundred non-emergency calls a day, and that was taking its toll on our dispatchers, but of greater concern, it was having an impact on the community as wait times increased and the quality of service specifically related to the wait times was reduced to the public. Leading into last July, when our operations manager, Derek, was reaching out to Aurelian and speaking with them about implementation. Wait times for a non-emergency line in the middle of the day, the busier parts of the day, would often be anywhere from 2 to 15 or 20 minutes. And we noticed a significant number of calls that were never reaching our dispatchers because people would get impatient and choose to hang up. Sometimes they would call back and we would get to speak to them, and other times their concerns would go unanswered. With that in mind, we wanted a product that would help us better serve the community and also help our dispatchers. When implementing Aurelian, one of the greatest immediate impacts we saw was there was a non-existent wait time. So all non-emergency calls were answered immediately and processed through Aurelian to our call processing standards. So one of the things that we had the opportunity to do as we came on with Aurelian was build into Aurelian our call processing guides and processes so that Aurelian with the information could build out call routes specific to our agency. So it was very configurable to our needs. After we implemented, which was, I believe, November 18th of 2024, we implemented right before a major storm that hit the county. And we were able to work with Aurelian to address the impacts that storm was going to have on our non-emergency line. And specifically with the storm, many people called to report power outages, downed lines, downed trees, stuff like that. We were able to work with Aurelian to dynamically optimize the non-emergency answering to best address the needs of the public as they called during the storm. Following the storm, we had done some trial implementation leading up to mid-November, but with our full implementation after November 18th, we were able to continue working with Aurelian as we had already begun to help the public in a way that was beneficial to the public. We also wanted to help the public in a way that was beneficial to us. So I spoke earlier to it was increasing the toll on the dispatchers. And one of the things that we have been able to do and optimize with Aurelian as time has gone on is how we process those calls once Aurelian has already taken down the information. So throughout the last almost year, we've worked with Aurelian to continue optimizing call routes, change how the voices sounded to make it sound more natural to the public, and improve the user interface to make it seamless for the dispatchers as they take the information from Aurelian and enter it into our CAD system. One of the greatest impacts to me that we recently saw is on the 4th of July. So the 4th of July is statistically the busiest day of the year in a 911 dispatch center. And last year, on the 4th of July, we took about 1,200 non-emergency calls during the day, in addition to the 25-ish hundred emergency calls we took that day, which is more than double our normal daily call volume. This 4th of July, we were able to work with Aurelian in advance, specifically to optimize how it would handle fireworks complaints. That's the #1 call we get on the 4th of July, and specifically to the non-emergency line, people are usually calling to report illegal fireworks, the noise, the explosions. Occasionally, they'll call the non-emergency line to report a fire as a result, or they'll say trigger words like "it sounds like gunshots" or something like that. Aurelian has been phenomenal at identifying emergencies in an effective fashion to divert emergencies to our 911 line while keeping the non-emergencies either processed completely through Aurelian or diverted to our 10-digit non-emergency line to speak to a call taker when they're available. On the 4th of July this year, we took just about 250 non-emergency calls, which was down by about 1,000 from what we took last year on the 4th of July. And those were just calls that were transferred from Aurelian to our non-emergency line. And then to get a little more granular, our busiest hour of the year, last 4th of July in 2024, we took about 330 non-emergency calls in 1 hour. This year on the busiest hour on the 4th of July, we took just over 30 calls. So nearly a 90% reduction in the number of calls we took in our busiest hour on the 4th of July. If you've worked in a 911 center at all, you know the impact that has when the center is already busy. You know, we always make the choice to try and increase our staffing on the 4th of July to manage call volumes, and this allowed the extra staff to focus on the actual life-threatening emergencies on the 911 lines rather than just being swamped and having to answer non-emergency calls back to back. Aurelian and their team has been very dynamic in all of the requests we've made. They've been very responsive as we've made suggestions or requested edits, and it's genuinely been a very collaborative effort.